Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I'm Melissa and this is Melissa Knits for Fun. Well, today I have got a bunch of whip updates. I don't have any finished objects and we'll see if I have taken on more test knits or not. All right, guys, let's get started with what I am wearing. And this is the V-Back Tee by Jamie Hoffman. And it is the V-back because how she styles it is she wears this V towards the back and then the, crew part up front. I'm not doing that. I like a really good V-neck. So the great thing about things like this is you can wear your knitting however you want to. You can style it however you want to. And before I knitted this, I did go look and several people had worn it like this with it in the front. And so this is one that I believe this was the first knit along for the Arkansas Yarn Crawl that I participated in. And I really, really like it. She's got 3 different styles. She's got this one, which is a DK weight gauge. She's got a fingering gauge, and then she's got a scrap one. I named this project out there, if you go look at my Ravelry, it is called V-Back Tee #1 because I had plans to knit other ones because I really, really like a good V-neck. I really like how this fits. And I will say if I do knit another one, I'm going to knit it maybe a size down because this is a little bit roomier than I really like for my stuff to be because I am a bigger girl, and so when it's this roomy, I think it tends to make me look a little bit heavier than I actually am. But having said all of that, this is one of the things that I wear now, not during the dead of summer because I wasn't very smart about my yarn choice. And this yarn is a tweed and it's a wool silk blend. I think it's a superwash wool silk blend. She doesn't dye it anymore, so this was by Red Door Fibers, and it's the Red Door Fibers that has silk in every single one of their bases. And I love this. I bought this, and then she stopped doing the tweeds and stopped dyeing them. Apparently, she was having a lot of trouble getting the bases in. So I'm really, really excited that I was able to get my hands on this, and I have a little bit left over, so it might show up somewhere in some kind of scrappy project, or maybe I'll just destash the partial ball. We'll see what happens. But I really do. I love her yarn. I have several in different bases from her. I've got some fingering, I've got some DK, and I just really, really love her yarns. They're really nice. They have the silk in them, so they're nice and soft. And I don't really mind the color pulling, and I think it's kind of cool how it just kind of goes down like this and elongates this part of my body. Now, like I said, I would like to knit another one of these because I really do enjoy just a V-neck tee, but it's not a raglan. This is not, I'm looking to make sure I'm telling you that right. It's not a raglan, and the one thing I don't like about it is just like with a lot of, and I don't know that this is just a circular yoke. I mean, it is a V here, so, but with anything like this that's not raglan, I tend to get this extra fabric here, and I don't love that. But I will tell you, I'm starting to see people make some adjustments and combining like a round yoke knit and a raglan to make it fit better. And speaking of that, I'll start telling you about my first test knit. And guys, I don't know who it was that inhabited my body that said I was going to take a break from test knitting because it could not have possibly been me. Because guys, I have 3, yes, count them, 3 test knits. Again, I apparently am addicted to test knitting, but one of them I don't have to have done until September, so I will say that that gives me a little bit of time. But on this first one that I did, and this is the first one that I started after I said I was going to take a break, and it's because it is by the Knit Pearl Girl, and she is one of the designers I really wanted to test knit for because I really enjoy test knitting for her. She's just wonderful to test knit for. And this is the Waffle Tee, if I can get it turned around where it's supposed to be, where I can hold it right. I just split it for sleeves. So I do still have it on some try-on cords because I did a fit check, and guys, it is beautiful. And honestly, I may reach out to Sophie, but I want to get this blocked first before I make this decision. The neckline is just a I-cord. I put this on and the look at my neck was so pretty with just this raw edge that I'm not certain that I want to put an I-cord on there. So I will block it before I do anything with the neck. I was going to go ahead and do the neck. I'm glad I tried it on. But I will block it first and then I will try it on, and then I will email Sophie and ask her if it's okay to skip that. I'm sure she'll say fine because she's so laid back. But it just really is with, you start the lace immediately. So it's just made this beautiful little neckline. And I will try to get a picture. I didn't take a picture when I did the fit check because I promise all of y'all do not want to see me just standing there in this and have my big old white belly hanging out, okay? I'm just telling you. You don't want to see that. So I will put on a white t-shirt and I'll do a fit check on this, and I'll do another one on the Edinburgh as well. So this is just, it really is stunning, and I'll hold this up. You can kind of see the lace. Let me see if I can get it to open up a little bit more. So this is a really beautiful lace pattern, and then it's got a couple of rows of pearl stitches in between there. This is the one that last week I had to frog and start over because I missed that one little stitch that went down through here that was pearls. And I will tell you, it looks a heck of a lot better, a lot prettier with that pearl stitch there dividing. So I'm really, really glad that I did not just reach out and say, oh, I did this, can I just keep going? And I'm really glad that I test knitted this, because had I not been test knitting this, had I bought this pattern and I was just knitting it, I wouldn't have frogged it. I would have just kept going, and I would have said, it's a design decision, no big deal. And I would have cheated myself out of that. So I had someone who commented on my last video, and I liked what she said because I've done this to myself. Sorry, I just swallowed wrong. She wrote on there, she said, I frog constantly. She said, if I find something that I know is going to bother me, I just frog it because I don't want to spend a lot of time and waste time on something that I'm not going to like and I'm not going to wear. She had an example of a cardigan that she felt like at the beginning she needed to frog. And I apologize, I don't remember the screen name, but she did say, you know, that she had this cardigan and at the beginning she thought she should frog it, and she talked herself out of it. And now she has a cardigan that she doesn't love and that she's thinking about frogging the whole thing. Well, what I will say, and what I'm going to say in the comment, I haven't responded to her yet, is that if she wants to frog it and repurpose that yarn, more power to her. But there is a lot of joy in taking it and giving it to someone who will wear it. I've done that with a couple of my sweaters, and one of them now is in Portland because Ren just moved to Portland, and she took that with her, so I'm very excited about that. So my work will be showing up in Portland in some future date. And then Susan has already worn hers as well. They both wore them to the yarn shop one day, and I totally forgot to get the picture before Ren left. So Ren, if you are watching, I'd love to see a picture if you'd send me one of those of you wearing it so that I can show everybody on here how beautiful you look. So anyway, there's a lot of joy in that. And we also had Jennifer, another one of our knitting group. She had created or had made a cardigan and it was too large for her. And so she brought it up and she asked Belinda if Belinda would like to have it. And Belinda said yes. And let me tell you, it fits like it was made for Belinda. It is beautiful on her. And as Jennifer said, she's like, oh, I'm so happy to see that something that I made is getting love and getting worn. So I'm just saying, I'm not, you know, telling someone don't frog and repurpose their yarn. I'm not saying that at all. But if you're daunted by that and you're looking at going, oh, that's a whole project I'd have to frog, think about maybe giving it away to somebody who would love it. All right. Now, back to this because, oh, I am in tangent mode today. I am just in storytelling mode. It's been a really long week, so I'm really looking forward to talking to y'all. So this, again, is the Waffle Tee by Sophie from Knit Pearl Girl, and I am making this out of the Noro Sonata. And I will tell you, it is beautiful. This is the colorway Magenta, and oh, I love this color. I cannot wait to wear it, but I am being reminded why I don't use more Noro yarns and why I don't have more Noro in my stash. Because you know, when you first look at it, you're like, oh, that's kind of expensive. But when you look at the ball of yarn, and the ball of yarn is equal to 2 to 2.5, sometimes 3 regular skeins of yarn, the cost is not really that much different. In fact, it could sometimes be a little bit cheaper. But it is slubby yarn. I've yet to use anything by them, and I do have, I know for sure 2, with this one, 2 garments made out of it. And it's just slubby. It gets really thin and really thick. And there's a place on here where I'll try to find it, see if I can find it and show y'all. Yes, this is going to bug the crap out of me. I'm hoping I can shave it maybe. Move up a little bit. See that really big stitch right there where the yarn got really big? That is going to bug me. And guess what? It's on the front. So it is going to bug the crap out of me. And so I'm really hoping that maybe I can shave that down a little bit. I'm not frogging it, but I am, like I said, just reminded of why I don't use more Noro yarn. I'm not in love with slubby yarn, but I will say this color, it might be worth it. Oh, I'm wrong. I said that was in the front. That's actually in the back, so I may not care as much. Found my little stitch marker. So I may not care about that. It's not in the front, so it may not bug me at all. But I'm not in love with slubby yarn. And it's not just Noro. When I was knitting with some Zoe the other day, it also does that. It gets thick and it gets thin. I just don't love those. I'm plain Jane girl here. I like things that are consistent. I like a consistent, you know, tension. I like a consistent color. I don't mind tonals. And I do like some variegateds, but I'm finding that over the years, I like the variegateds more in the skein than I do actually in a knitted object. Not always. And some dyers like Letha, she makes some of the most beautiful variegated yarns, and they don't muddy up for me. So I really, really enjoy her yarns. But I'm just a plain Jane girl, so I don't like that slubbiness. But having said that, isn't this just turning out lovely? Lovely. So test number 1, it's not due until I think the end of May. So I've got a bit of time on this one, which is a good thing since I had reached out to Natasha Hornsby or Moonstruck Knits, and I had asked her how I could test knit for her because I really, really, really like her. I'm sorry, I'm tangled. I really, really, really like her designs, and I own a lot of her patterns. But to date, I've not knitted any of them. They just haven't bubbled up yet to not encourage me, but just demand that I cast them on. So when I saw this, I reached out and I was like, how could I test knit that? And so she sent me to the person who handles all of the test group. And so I got put in the test group, and I was asked, you know, she went and looked at my Ravelry and she went and looked at my Instagram. And she came back and she said, I'm assuming by looking at all your stuff that you would not really be interested in knitting shawls because Natasha makes beautiful shawl patterns. They are gorgeous. That you'd probably be more interested in garments. And I said, yes, that's right. Because I don't really, it is a special, special shawl to make me knit it. And I did take a couple up to the yarn shop the other day that I had knitted when I first started knitting. And they're beautiful. I don't wear them, but they're beautiful and they bring me joy looking at them. So they're still around. But it would take a really, really, really special one for me to want to knit a shawl. So yes, I want to knit garments. And she had the Yua. I think I'm pronouncing that right. It's Y-U-A. And she has asked that we not post our finished objects, but she said we could give teasers. So as this gets bigger, it will probably start going away and not have updates until it gets ready to be released. And then I will wear it on that podcast. But this is the Yua by Moonstruck Knits or Natasha Hornsby, and it's got a little eyelet, and then it's going to grow. It's a bottom up, as you can tell. And it's going to grow, and then it has a lace pattern along, you know, the top. It's just beautiful. And then she has both a sleeveless and a 3/4 sleeve version. And I asked her if I could make it short sleeved, and she said yes. So my plans are, this one's not quite as long as I like my short sleeves, so I think I'd like them a little bit longer. My plans are to go probably right around here. So I will just knit it like I would knit it for the 3/4 sleeve, but I will end it up in this area. And the yarn I'm using is some of that drop spell that I shared last week that I had gotten. This is the red color. And guys, I have told y'all I've been having trouble figuring out how to showcase and how to talk about yarn substitutions and what all you need to know and everything. And let me tell you, this swatch, I figured it out. I've got several swatches now because I had bought some 100%, well, I don't think it's 100% cotton. I think it's cotton and a little bit of polyamide in it for just strength. I had bought cotton 365, it's Lana Grossa, and I had bought a sweater quantity of that from somebody's stash. And I was like, oh, that would be beautiful for that. It's a DK weight. Well, it's not exactly one-to-one, right? What she used in hers was Sanduskarn Lena, and that is 110 meters to 50 grams. And what I was dealing with was, I think it was 140. So it was quite a bit bigger, right? That's quite a bit whenever you get to 100 grams, right? Because it's 30 per 50 grams. So I wound up having to go up, and I didn't like it. Like, I did it on the needle that she suggested, and it just didn't look right. Well, it wasn't on gauge, for one thing. I always swatch. I don't swatch for everything, but I always swatch whenever I'm doing test knits. It wasn't on gauge, and then I went up a couple of a needle size. It still wasn't on gauge. I think I did a third one and I didn't like the fabric. It was too open at that point, and it was much more drapey than I think that the design called for. So I grabbed a bamboo. I have this beautiful red 100% bamboo because it was a 1-to-1. It's 110 meters per 50 grams. It's going to be beautiful. I can just use this red, and I've been wanting red knits. I want some red summer knits. And I swatched that, not on gauge. I was like, no, I'm not doing this. I am going to actually sit down and swatch with what it calls for. And Lena is a little bit small. I mean, Belle is a little bit smaller. It's the same exact makeup as Sanduskarn Lena, but it's a little bit smaller. It's 120 to 50 grams versus 110. But that linen that's in it just gives it enough structure that while it's still drapey and it's going to be beautiful, it's got enough structure to hold up to the eyelets and the lace. So I wound up going ahead and grabbing this and using this. I would have used the Lena, but I don't have enough of the color that I wanted to use in my stash. And I have the rule that if I'm going to test knit, it needs to come out of my stash. I'm really, really trying hard not to buy, not to spend money to test knit. So it had to be in my stash. And I had just bought this with no plans a couple of weeks ago, and so this wound up, I had enough to do this. I want red, and Sanduskarn just does not have red in Lena, so I will wind up adding to my stash and get some more of the kind of purpley color I was going to use, so that I have it on hand next time if there's something I want to knit, because it is a really pretty color, and it's a discontinued color, so I've got to make sure I grab it while Letha still has it. But this is the like I said, I won't be talking about this as much whenever it starts getting bigger, because I want to make sure that I don't share too much. But guys, I have to tell you, this is a bottom up, and I shared the last time that, the other one was really big. Well, this one, it's kind of small. And guys, my behind is not quite this small. My hips are not this small. So I was looking at this and I was like, I might be knitting the wrong size. I might need to go up a size, because she does tell you just knit whatever size that is appropriate for you. And so I picked the one, there was a 47.5, and then there's a 52, and I think a 52 would be too big, so I went with the 47.5. But then I was looking at this and I was like, I'm not so sure. But guys, you can absolutely try on bottom up. So I put this on try-on cords and I pulled it up, and I got plenty of room at the hip. It is not going to be like a seersucker suit, like, oh no. And then I did pull it up and I checked the bust area, because if it's a 47.5 inch finished bust circumference, I don't think that bottom up, I don't think it should grow. So I checked it, and I've got plenty of room there, because it only calls for 1 to 3 inches of positive ease. And so I think it's going to fit just absolutely beautifully, and it will grow a little bit. Cotton Yarns and Lena does this. It doesn't grow a lot this way. It does grow more this way, but I will tell you, I've got a couple of Tulsa tees that I made out of Lena, and I love that, and I'm going to make more, but I love the Tulsa, but I knit it. The gauge for me knitting it on a US 8 was just a little bit too big. I liked it okay, but I wanted to knit it on a 4mm or a US 6, and so I did that. And I should have gone down a size when I was doing the size 8 needle. And if I am doing another striped one in using a US 8. And so I did go down a size. But I knitted with the US 6. And I love how it fits. And when I first put it on, let me tell you, it was a little tight. Not gonna lie. It was a little tight. I was like, ooh, not so sure about this. Because it's been a really long time since I have been anywhere near small enough to feel good about something that shows that I have a shape, because my shape was always like big. I'm still big, but I'm not as big as I was. And so now, I mean, I put this on and I was a little self-conscious at first because it really showed, like, I've got a waist and it shows, right? I have some curves and all of that. And I was a little self-conscious, but as I wore it, it relaxed, and it now is one of my favorite tops, both of them. I have one with bust shaping and one without, and both of them are some of my favorite summer tops. I feel good in them, and I love how they fit. So I know this will do the same. So even if it's a scoosh too small at the beginning, it will stretch out enough that I know I will love it, just based on how it's fitting before blocking. All right, so test knit number 2. Who said anything about taking a break? It wasn't me. It couldn't have been. And test knit number 3. I am just swatching for this. I have not done anything else. And this is the Cove. It's going to be the Cove Raglan. So this is also for Sophie, the Knit Pearl Girl. And this is, you can't really see it. I'll show you in the skein, but you can see it in person. It's just hard to see here that it's still coming through. But Sophie has a sweater called the Cove sweater. She is updating that sweater, and she is calling it the Cove 2.0, and then she's doing, I think, a vest and a raglan. And I am knitting the raglan. I love a good raglan. Drop shoulders are okay, but I really love a good raglan. So I'm doing the raglan, and it is a DK and a mohair, which is kind of what I was asking last week about the green, because I thought I would do this in green, but then I had a little talk to myself and was like, you know, you said you weren't going to buy yarn unless it was like this yarn that you really, like this special yarn that you just had to try. Like whenever I bought the cashmere last year for one, or not last year, 2 years ago, or when I bought the Drops Air a couple of years ago, because I really wanted to try those yarns. But so I looked around in my stash and I found this, and I had forgotten I had this. This is stunning, guys. This is the Rowan Felted Tweed, and it's the Bilberry. And you see it's tweed. It's a felted tweed, and it's got some little touches of blue and white, and I think there's a little bit of like an ochre color, so kind of a orangish brown. And then this is Blackberry Currant, and I'm holding these two together, and you can see I'm getting a darker fabric, obviously, but it is, the tweedy bits are still coming through. So I will tell you, I like this, but that would be too muted for me. I like a darker or a brighter color, and adding the mohair has just made it darker, and it's dark enough that I really, really like it. And then, like I said, you just can't see right now, but I think as the sweater gets bigger, you'll be able to see more. When I look at it, I see the flecks of white, and I see the flecks of blue, and I see the flecks of the little orangey brown. It's going to be absolutely stunning. But I am, again, just in the swatching phase. And so somebody asked me, do you not swatch in the round? Well, I do. But guys, I am not going to waste enough yarn to do a round swatch. I've done that in the past. And I don't know, maybe it's not wasting any more than this, but this is easier to me. And if I really wanted to do it, I could have a whole bunch and I could just knit off of that. I've done that too, but this is just the easiest for me. I just take it, pull it back around here, and then you just take it and you grab a loop, and you want to leave yourself enough room, right? Because you want it to be able to stretch, and you just knit it. right? And so you just knit, and what that does is it creates the same type of fabric you would get if you were knitting in the round, because that's what you're doing. You're just knitting one direction like you do whenever you knit in the round. So I do that, and then whenever you get this done, then what you do is you cut those loops in the back, and I tighten them up. I try to go through and tighten them up so that I don't lose anything. And I try to leave them long enough to where that I'm not going to have stitches that come unraveled on the edges. But then I soak it. I don't put these in the washer, right? I just soak it, wring it out, you know, do it in a towel, get all the water out, and then I pin it. I will usually pin these because this is just stockinette, and so it's gonna roll. And so I will pin it because I want to be able to see, but I don't pin it like stretch it, pin it. I just lay it out, I squish it out, and then I put some pins to hold it in place. But I don't stretch it because I'm not going to block a finished sweater that way. I don't want to knit a sweater to where that I am having to block it within an inch of its life and tug and pull. I've done this and they never fit right at the end. I want to make the sweater to where that whenever I block it, I am able to just lay it flat and kind of push it or pat it into place. I do pull on the sleeves, right? I do that. So I wanted to get that done because if I put it down, I might lose some, but I'll pull on the sleeves to kind of elongate them a little bit. But I typically do not pin a sweater unless there's something I'm trying to get done. I may have to pin the waffle tee because, and also the UA because of the lace details. But with the Cove, nope. I will just lay it out. So this is going to be what that is. Hopefully next week I may have it cast on, but again, it's not due till September, so I'm not in any huge hurry, but this is, I wanted to go ahead and get it swatched so that I could make my plans. All right. So those are the test knits, and that is all the test knits I have. And I'm not planning, I have resisted because I'm not planning on picking up any other ones. It doesn't mean I won't while I'm doing the Cove because it's not due till September. And I may very well pick up another one, but it won't be until I get those two off because the UA is due the 1st of May and the Waffle Tee is due the end of May. So I don't want to take on anything else that would be due like May or June because, you know, unless I get done before the end of April. And then I could pick up something that would be due in June. But I don't want to overload myself because I did get in that space last year where I wasn't going to get my test knit done. And I don't want to be in that situation. I just don't. I don't like how it makes me feel. So I'm not going to put myself in that situation again. It's one of the reasons I wanted to take a break. But I really do enjoy test knitting. I enjoy the social aspects. I do love getting the pattern first, so I get to see it first, and I get to play with it first, and I get to play around with some yarn that maybe I've been wanting to try, or a color, like I've been wanting to find something to do that felted tweed and mohair together. So, you know, I enjoy it. So what can I say? I may take another little break, but we shall see. I'm just not going to lie. I may not. We shall see. All right. So speaking of long knits though, talking about that September knit, I have my brother's sweater that I have cast on for a Christmas knit, and I've got this one by Shauna's sweater that I'm doing the Christmas knit. I haven't knit anything on my brother's. I have knit a few rows. I'm not to 17 centimeters yet. I've still got a ways to go. But this is I take it with me. Like when I went to the audiologist last week, I took this with me, and this is what I knitted on because it's just stockinette, and I just go back and forth. And I am keeping track of how many rounds that I am doing because I'm going to need to know that whenever I pick up for the front. How many rows do I need to do? I don't like just trying to measure it. I really like to know how many rows. So I am keeping track of that, and I just have my little row counter on there. So this is just beautiful. The the bigger it gets, it is really turning out pretty. And I wish that y'all could see that. I wish it was easier to see because I will show you with this, it's got a little bit of a heathering to it. I see it, and it's got it's got some different shades of green and a little bit of yellow in there that makes it this really pretty green color. And you can see it in this whenever you're up close, and it's not as easy to see it when you're far away. But I am making for Shauna, it's the Saharan V-Neck, and it's by Coco Amore or Cheryl Makatori. That is, in fact, her handle. And I have several things of hers that I am either knitting or I'm fixing to cast on. So I've really found that I like her pattern style. I like how she writes her patterns. So I am knitting this for her. I will, once I get hers done, it'll probably be next year, I will cast on one for myself. And I've just got to figure out what colors. I'm kind of thinking I may do this kind of red color here. I already have a sweater and a cardigan in this combo, so I don't really want to do another one. But the other one, I may do the J, or have some green around, like a really deep forest green as well. I don't know. I'll have to play around, or maybe that blue, that looks really pretty. I'll just have to play around and figure out what I'm going to do. But I am going to do most likely a Holst garn, either a Coast, which is their cotton wool blend, or their super soft, and hold it with their Titicaca, which is their 100% alpaca. So we'll have the same fabric and just different colors in the same sweater for our girls trip when we go up to like Sweden and Norway and Finland and all that. So that is what this is. And the colors on this are the Coast, which is, like I said, it's their cotton wool blend. It's 45-55, so 55 wool, 45 cotton, and this is the colorway Fauna. And then this is their 100% lace weight alpaca. And guys, this is a dream. I mean, if I could buy every single color, I would. I might wind up one of these days, but actually no, because some of the colors I don't like. But the colors I do like, whoo, this is such a nice, and it's a nice alternative to mohair if you're sensitive to mohair, but you're not sensitive to alpaca. It's a really nice alternative to carry along with another yarn. So I really, really like this yarn. And this is the colorway Mellow, which is part of their, Holst Garn has this that's called, and it's in this and in their Lucia, which is their other mohair alternative. They have what's called the Playground Collection. I really can say those words today. And what it is it's not a permanent color in their colorways. It's one that they dot up. It may wind up becoming permanent, but it's colors that have been added or are not permanent, or I don't know exactly, but I know that they're outside of the normal colors. And that's one of those. And it is just stunning. I bought that just to see what it looked like, and Shauna saw it and went, oh, my color. And so, of course, I had to make her a sweater in it. All right. So, I'm saving the best for last. But I want to talk about another one that I haven't really done a lot on this. I've only done a couple of rows on this. And we do have one more person that has been added to the chat. Her name is Chris. And so it's two Melissas, Chris and Chelsea. So we've got 2 C's and 2 M's. And we're just, encouraging each other. Everybody's been kind of quiet. I need to get back on there and be like, hey, how are we doing? Chelsea is doing a beautiful, cream. And if you watch her podcast, she did an update her last podcast. Oh, it's beautiful. It's like this very fisherman-y sweater vibe, and it's gorgeous. It's a cream showing up beautiful stitch definition, and it is lovely. She had hers joined in the round. I don't know how much more she has knit. I think Melissa is going to be doing a green, and then I think Chris decided on a cinnamon, and she had to order the yarn. So, and then I'm doing the chocolate brown. And you can just see, I'm going to turn it around because the front, right, is not very exciting because it's just got a little bit. But this back, that back is showing just how pretty that is. It is gorgeous. And I am to the point where once you have done all of your increases here in the pattern part of the sleeve, then she has you start doing moss stitch increases. And so I'm there. So now I am on I just have 2 charts. I no longer have the back and the 2 fronts and the sleeve increase. I just have the back increase, and it's the back and front. And then I have the sleeve, and I'm not increasing for the sleeve. I am increasing every round just right in here. You just do a make one right or a make one left, and then you incorporate it into your moss stitch the next round. And so I am very, very excited about that. I am hoping that by next week, maybe I will have gotten my increases all done and be ready to maybe split for sleeves, but I'm not going to promise that because I do have those test knits. But I do want to work a little bit more on this, because when I picked it up last night, because I was like, I have to do just a couple of rows. I just have to do a couple of rows because I want to talk about it tomorrow. And so I just picked it up and did a couple of rows, and my hands were like, oh, cables. I love a good cable. I love cable. I love lace. I love color work. I love a good stockinette, but I really like all the other stuff too, and I really love working on it. And so I had to force myself to go to bed last night at about 12:15 because I wanted to stay up knitting for so long. And so I am dragging today, but that's okay. I've had a couple of cups of coffee and I'll be okay. But I am going to work on this some more because this is my happy place right now. And this is the Bookclub Raglan by Sari Nordland. And it also, I'm trying to think, I think this is my first one of hers that I have cast on that I'm going to get finished. I have another one that's cast on, and I thought I had screwed up, but then I was looking at it, and I don't think I screwed up, so I've got to pull that out of hibernation, but that'll be closer to fall and winter. And so this is probably going to be the very first one. Once I get it split for sleeves, I will go ahead and put the collar on, because to me that just makes a sweater seem more real. So I will do the collar part whenever I split it for sleeves. All right, and this one, I doubt very seriously that I will do the sleeves before I finish the body for a couple of reasons. Because I think it's just a little bit harder whenever you're dealing with a cabled version. You're in a groove, and then you've got to completely change and go to a smaller circumference and figure that out, and you're doing decreases versus just knitting and all. I don't want to confuse myself. Plus the fact that part of the reason why you want to knit off of a cone is so that you don't have all those ends to weave in. And I said that I was going to do the collar. I may not actually, because that would require me to cut this yarn, and I just don't know that I really want to cut it. I don't think I do. So that's part of the reason I love knitting off of a cone. And this is just 100% merino by Woolly Yarn. I honestly don't know the brand. It just says it's 700 grams. It says it's 100% merino. It's 240 to 100. And it's got a number on here. And when I went and checked it, they no longer have it. So it is one of those. It is a dead stock mill ends. And it was a really great deal. And it was a beautiful color. And I was already getting some other stuff. So I just threw it in the cart. And it followed me home. And that's my story. And I'm sticking to it. But it is just the most beautiful. I am so in love. Thank y'all for telling me to use this and how excited I got about it, because I really did. I mean, I just think it's lovely. Lovely. Because I think they show up just fine. I mean, no, if it's way back here, maybe you don't see the details as much. You can kind of see something's going on. I don't really care across the room. But when you're standing there, you're going to notice all the beautiful cables. All right, and then last but not least, and then I'm going to show y'all some stuff. I didn't acquire it this week, but I'm going to talk about something. But I'm going to show you, I tried to get this sleeve done. I thought I was going to get this sleeve done. I was so excited. I thought I was going to get my sleeve done, and it actually goes this way. Thought I was going to get the sleeve done, but I am about halfway done with the 2-inch rib. So I've got about another 8 or 9, and I may just do 20. I just did 9. I think I'm going to do 20 rows of the ribbing. And so I've got about 11 rows to go, and then I'll do the bind off. So I didn't quite get that sleeve done. When I get this sleeve done, I will start the other sleeve. So I'll go ahead and get both sleeves done. Probably won't have the sleeve done next week, because this one will probably go on a little bit of a hiatus, so I can try to get my swatching done and work on my Raglan, my book club. But isn't this beautiful? And I don't remember last week if I put a fit check picture up. I'll go look at that podcast and see if I did. But I did take a fit check before I started the sleeve. I'll take another one whenever I get the sleeve done, because I'll go do this pretty much immediately. And so I'll get a fit check with the sleeve. And guys, this is fitting so well. It might wind up being one of my best fitting ones. And it shocks me because this is a round yoke. And like I said, the round yokes don't always do well. Which reminds me, I didn't tell you about the waffle tee. Let me finish with this and then I'll go back to that. But this is the Edinburgh sweater, again, by Coco Amore Knits. I really like her stuff. And that is Cheryl Makatari. And this is out of Cardiff Cashmere Classic. And this is the colorway Romeo and Nev. Pretty sure. I'm going to reach up here and grab this. Well, maybe it fell. When I bought this mohair, or this cashmere, I went ahead and got, because if I'm going to buy cashmere and I'm going to spend the money to buy cashmere, I wanted to know what color I was getting. So I went ahead and got their color charts. And so I know it's not Zoe, because Zoe is, well, I said it. Yeah, it's Romeo. It is Romeo. Zoe is a darker color. Anyway, it is Romeo and Nev. And it is just, oh, I can't wait for it to get cold again now. And guys, it's hot. It's getting hot. It's going to be 90 tomorrow. And then it's going to be 60 again on Friday. But we are in that weird stage. But yeah, I can't wait. And I have to be honest, the longer that this gets, the more I am really kind of happy that I made this accidental mistake and did not rip it back out and change it. Because I think it looks nice. There's a lot of white up here. And now there's, to me, it balances by having quite a bit of white down here. When it was like Dana's looks great, and hers is a lighter background and a darker contrast, and I think that may be why I don't think it looks unbalanced. But I really, really like this. It was a happy mistake, and I'm happy I made it. All right, now I'm going to go back to the waffle tee because I forgot to tell you, I was talking about how I don't always love a round yoke, that I don't think they fit great, and they give me like this with a little bit too much fabric here, and I look like, you know, just kind of looks weird. And I'm not the only one. Lots of people talk about this. Well, I've noticed, and it's not just Sophie in this sweater, I've seen it with some other ones, where it's a round yoke, but once you get down a certain amount of weight, right, then you do some raglan. And so this is a round yoke, and she did a bunch of increases here in the lace, just like you would for a round yoke. But then she put in this, and it's kind of it's not kind of, it is a compound raglan. Because you start out and you do so many rows where you do your regular raglan, like if you've ever done a raglan, you know, you do an increase round, then you do a regular round. Then you do an increase round and you do a regular round. There's a few of those. Then, because your arms don't need to grow, but your body does, she put in, and she has you do one where you do an increase round just on the body, and then a regular knit round. And then it went into an increase on every round for the body only. And it is beautiful, and it fits really, really well. Like I said, I'll put on a white t-shirt, and I'll try this on, and I'll try the other one on and take some pictures, and you can just see how beautiful it is and how nice it fits, and you don't get this right here. Okay. I mean, it doesn't bother me enough not to wear it because I do wear this, but because of my yarn choice, I only wear it like in the spring and the fall. I can't wear it in the dead of summer because let me tell you, even sitting here with the fan on, I'm warm. This is a warm yarn. So I don't wear it in the dead of summer. And that's unfortunate because I really do like this pattern. This I will be able to wear because it's a cotton silk. So I will be able to wear this in the dead of summer. And so I'm really excited about it. And I'm excited about the fact that I'm not going to have, you know, this kind of weird fabric there. All right. So last week I shared that I got some green mohair and I was going to try to buy something to go with it because I didn't have anything. Well, my whole house right now looks like a yarn store came in and dumped all of its contents in it because I've been trying to, you know, get things organized and get stuff put on my Ravelry stash and all that. So we've got yarn all over the house. Well, I happened to look over and there was a bag of yarn sitting there And I looked and I was like, that might go with that. And sure enough, I'm going to swatch with this. I don't know for sure because right there's some pink in there too. But I want to hold this together. I'm going to swatch, and I'm thinking what I will do if the swatch turns out like I think it's going to, I'm going to make another sorrel sweater using this because I'm addicted to that sweater. That's another one of those that I'm just going to have multiples of because they turn out so pretty and they're just perfect for variegated and mohair yarn. So I am going to do that. I'm going to see what this looks like. I'm going to swatch this. And then somebody made a comment on my last podcast too about that every time she watches, she's always like, what's in those bags back there? So I thought I would bring one out and I would show y'all how I store my stuff. And I have to tell you, that is just the DK Sport. I've got 2 more of those containers in my closet that has fingering, and one of them has like worsted and bulky. And then I have drawers as well that are sitting in front of me that also have projects in them. So what I do, and excuse me because I know this is going to make noise, but I put my stuff, my yarn, in a Ziploc baggie. I have these hefties that are 2.5 gallon, and then I have regular Ziplocs that, you know, aren't the sliders that are 2 gallons. And so what I do is whenever I decide that I want to do something together, because I decided I was going to hold this along with this. This is an alpaca silk. This is a Surrey silk that Letha hand dyed. And I'm going to hold those 2 together. I mean, look at that. Is that not just gorgeous? And so I know I'm going to hold those 2 together. And this is out there on my stash. And so what I do, if I own a pattern, I put the pattern down in there. If I don't, I make a note. And this says Wild Iris. So I'm going to make the Wild Iris out of this. Now, it could be repurposed. But for right now, the plan is that I'm going to hold these together and I'm going to make the Wild Iris. Those together, a 10 Peer Ghent and the Surrey silk lace is going to make a DK. So therefore, this lives in my DK container. Now, speaking of repurposing, this is one that came out of my DK container. This is West Yorkshire Spinners Blueface Leicester. Love this color. It's one of the ones that I said I could have done the Bookclub Raglan with. Well, because I had it out and I was talking about repurposing it. Well, I test knit that link sweater for the Crayabea, and she always gives you a code to get a free pattern. And I picked the Arundel, I think is how you say it. And that's one of her newer patterns that's got this beautiful, it's almost like trees across the yoke. It's really, really pretty. It's a textured yoke. And she has a green one that she did out of the Blueface Leicester. And it is stunning. And Michelle was over here not long ago, and we were knitting and we were talking, and she saw that pattern and she was like, oh, that's really, really pretty. And then she saw this and she was like, oh, I'd be knitting that. I wouldn't knit that cable out of that. I'd be knitting that sweater right there out of that. And so this has now been repurposed, and it is going to become the Arundel. So just thought I'd share a little bit of my yarn with you and share the little happy, you know, let me know what you think. Do you think this is going to go well, or do you think it's going to muddy that pink too much? I'm a little worried. I haven't done a swatch in this, but I'm a little worried that just the variegation might be a little muddy, and I think holding this mohair over it might soften that up. Let me know what you think, and let me know what you're knitting. Let me know what you knitted while you were watching. All right, guys, that is it. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. This was a little longer than I thought it was going to be, but like I said, I was in a pretty chatty mood because it has been a week and it has been a day, and whoo, yes. But I am all better now after getting to spend a little bit of time with y'all, and I will see y'all next week.